The hand of the day.
What's up, guys? It's Alec Torelli, and welcome back to another episode of The Hand of the Day. I got a lot of hate for the videos in front of the brick wall, so I came down to the beach at Corona del Mar in Orange County, California for sunset to hope to give you guys a more aesthetic place where I'm shooting these videos. So anyway, hope you enjoy the beautiful scenery here as we dissect a hand from my reader, Jack. He's playing this hand in Innsbruck, Austria, and he wrote to me, he said, Alec, I know you were out there a couple months ago playing a tournament. I hope you'd analyze this hand for me from Innsbruck, and I love Innsbruck. This is an awesome hand, so I chose this one here for this video. So we kick it off, and he says this game goes all the time, and he has a donkey in mid position who limps. Now he's in late position, and he has 7-6 of hearts here, and he decides to limp behind the guy because he says the guy's gonna always call every raise pre-flop. He wanted to play pot control, keep the pot small, so he goes ahead and limps here. Guy to his immediate left now makes it 25, gets a few callers, and we go ahead and call with 7-6 of hearts, closing off the action. So far pre-flop, totally fine. You could make an argument for raising to like 20, isolate the limper, but if you feel like he's gonna limp re-raise or call every time, or you're gonna get a lot of action behind you, maybe it's better just to try and get in cheap for a limp. And the good thing about limping here is that when it does get raised behind you, you close the action pre-flop, so you're guaranteed to see a flop, which is hugely important to winning more money in the hand. You have to see the flop to win money. So I like how you played it, totally fine. We go 5 ways to the flop. Flop comes ace-7-6 with 2 diamonds, huge flop for us. Vulnerable hand though, a lot of straight draws, a lot of flush draws, higher 2 pairs, possibly sets out there, and we're a 5-way pot, so very vulnerable here. If it gets checked to me, I'm definitely gonna take the lead here and bet because I don't want this to get checked around. There's pretty much no good card that could come on the turn in this situation. So I definitely am gonna be protecting my hand here, and that's just exactly what you do. It gets checked to you, you bet 80 into a pot of 125. So the only thing I would say here, a possible suggestion for you, is maybe bet a little bit bigger. You're never really gonna be bluffing here, and all your bluffs are gonna have a lot of equity. So maybe the worst hand you could have is something like 8-9, and maybe you're gonna rep diamonds on the turn or something more elaborate like that. But at the same time, when you bet into 5 people and take the lead, I'd like to see you betting a little bit bigger, maybe like 100, maybe even 110, something closer to 4/5, 5-6, or even the size of the pot, just because your hand is so vulnerable, you really wanna charge those draws. That being said, you bet 80, which is still okay, fine. It gets folded around to the donkey, who now decides to call. So you're loving your hand, you're in position now, your head's up against one opponent, exactly what you wanted, and you're playing against the loosest, worst player in the hand, so you've gotta be loving your hand at this moment. He calls, and we go heads up again to the turn. Turn comes an offsuit queen, which should be a complete blank for you, right? The only hand that really improved to one that's better than yours is pretty much ace queen or maybe pocket queens if he can have that. So you're still loving your hand here, but things change a little bit when he bets out 200. You expect him to check, and if he does check, you're gonna absolutely think you're ahead almost all the time. When he bets, it's sort of like, that's kind of weird. Was he slow playing 2-pair on the flop? Did he turn 2-pair? Did he turn a set of queens? Or maybe some obscure 2-pair, like with like queen 7 or something like that. So you're loving your hand less when he bets, because it's like, why would he play a draw this way? But at the same time, what hands is he really repping to beat you? Still, you have a very clear call here on the turn. I mean, you're way too deep to raise, because when you get it in, you're always probably gonna be behind, and he's gonna fold a lot of his draws, and you take away the ability for him to bluff on the river. So I love calling here on the turn. My plan here is to call most rivers and sort of keep the pot in position, see what happens. So you call, totally fine. We go heads up to the river. River comes in offsuit 10, which does complete a couple straights. He could have something like king jack of diamonds, specifically king jack of diamonds, he'd have to have that, or obviously 8-9, which is a huge possibility that he can have, turns it into a bluff on the turn, which is weird, but he's a fish, so maybe he does some weird things. And now he made his straight, now he's betting. So he bets 450 here, and this is a spot where you don't beat any of the hands he's betting for value, because he's never gonna bet like ace 5 this way, or maybe he would if he's a really bad player. And if he's going to play worse hands for value this way, then you have an extremely easy, clear, slam dunk call. But if you're against an opponent that you feel like is either gonna be betting with a hand that beats you, or he's bluffing, then you're in a tough spot, because now you're just trying to weigh the amount of time that he's bluffing, right? It's sort of like a math problem. Without getting too technical, I ran some numbers behind the scenes on this hand, and I feel like if he has a reasonable bluffing range, right? If he's bluffing a reasonable amount of the time, and he's value betting all the hands that beat you, you're getting something like 2.5 to 1, and you only need to be right 30% of the time to justify calling, right? So the math says you need to be right 30% of the time. He bet really small relative, not really small relative to the pot, but you're getting a great price, right? So you don't have to be right that often. So I think here, I ran the numbers behind the scenes, and the math says that I think you should call here. You're not loving it. You're slightly ahead of a reasonable range that he could have. But like in this spot, without running the numbers, just if I'm in this spot against this opponent, you told me in your email to me that, you know, he got caught bluffing 2 times on the river. Whenever I'm against some opponent that I really don't know what they're up to, I have no idea what they're doing. I don't know what level they're thinking on. Maybe they're betting a worse hand like ace-5. Maybe they're just like bluffing with a 7. They just have like 7-8. Now they're just gonna bluff with it for some reason. They do like weird, unpredictable, sort of maybe even arguably silly stuff. I'm just never gonna fold 2-pair here, just because I don't know what he's doing. I don't know what level he's on. I know the situation is close. I'm not loving it, but without the ability to make a good, like, secure decision that I'm definitely making the right fold, when I have a big hand like this in this spot, I'm just gonna close my eyes, put it in, and hope to win. I mean, you're getting a great price, and I think you gotta just call and pay it off here. That being said, you decide to call, and I think you know your email to me, your logic was sort of similar, so props to that. Well played. You reasoned through this hand really, really well, and you call here, and he turns over queen-6, which is pretty brutal. He turned a higher 2-pair. You can't really put him on that hand. It's sort of a tough beat. But my logic is like, look, if he can have queen-6 here, he could definitely have other hands like jack-6, and maybe he just decides to bluff with that on the turn. And if he's ever doing that, then you're gonna be ahead here enough the time to justify calling. So I hope you enjoyed this hand. I go over a lot more of the math stuff that I really don't have time for in these videos. In my workbook that I have out, the 4 Steps to Beating Anyone in Poker. I encourage you guys to check that out if you really want more of the advanced behind the scenes stuff that don't really have time to go over here in these videos. Check that out. You can click one of these links here, or just check out alectorelli.com. Click on products. All my best content is right there. If you guys have hands you'd like me to review, shoot them over to me. You could reach me at alectorelli.com/contact, and you can send your hands to me that way. And otherwise, subscribe to my channel. Putting out a lot of new good content soon, and I will see you guys next time on the Hand of the Day. Thanks for watching.